thank you very much everybody for coming here to be part of the event today. We held our first event this time last year, on July the 13th last year, when the government was 8 weeks old, which we thought had given them plenty of time to figure out what their vision was for family policy, and we thought we'd offer them a platform to present that. But we also thought it was very critical actually to bring all the experts across the family policy sector, from our colleagues in Westminster, together to really bring together some vision for what we think a family-friendly society looks like. What is the report card for? Well, it's a challenging process, it has to be said, because what we have to do is bring together a huge mass of policy proposals, and in a sense we had no idea the rapidity and scale of policy change that we were going to face when we were standing in this room this time last year. And I think one of the things that I've been reflecting on recently is that the emergency budget comprehensive spending review have obviously set the terms for this year, but I think for the term of this Parliament as well. And so we've tried to encapsulate an enormous amount of policy in a very short space, and also to begin a process of piecing together what all of this actually means for families. So families, clearly, in the way that they live their lives, aren't affected just by what happens from the Department for Education or by what happens from the Department for Work and Pensions, but also by what's happening on the ground with their local authorities, where any early intervention grants are coming from, on the ground in terms of what's happening to the voluntary and community sector. And it's that myriad of changes that are really affecting family life. So we have to get out a metaphorical red pen at the end of the year, and in a school-style fashion, grade the report card. Actually, I was at my child's, just at the beginning, my little boy is 6, so I went on his first parents' evenings, and I realised my concern that actually D, E and F seem to have dropped off the school grading system. You only get A, B and C these days. So we're operating an old school system of A through to F. And clearly in making that judgment on the basis both of the indicators of what families are experiencing, but also on the policy environment, we have to reflect on how we score internationally, and it's a matter of national shame that year after year we seem to come towards the bottom of UNICEF league tables in terms of child well-being, towards the bottom of family-friendly league tables internationally. But critically, we have to take views of families themselves, because ultimately they are the test of how effectively the government is delivering, and the test of how effectively we are delivering as a sector. So there are no doubt people in the room who think we've been too lenient, there are people in the room who have been too harsh, but we think we've been tough, but fair, and fair because we've represented the views of those families themselves. And what this is about this year for families is it's all about money. So clearly macroeconomic conditions have been incredibly hard, and differential rates of inflation, as people have already reflected on. But also people are beginning to feel the squeeze in terms of the immediate changes in benefits, which have disproportionately affected families, and are beginning to feel the impact of the spending review cuts on local services as well. And I think that there's a climate of enormous anxiety out there, actually, as people begin to experience this in terms of job losses and the fear of job losses. So what we're picking up on, and in a poll that we released earlier this week, is a sense of crisis amongst families. So both the immediate impact, but concerns about exactly when, or indeed if, we're going to turn this very difficult macroeconomic circumstances into more positive conditions for families. So in the poll that we released earlier this week, we found the majority, 54% of respondents, saying that they believe that UK family life is in crisis, with 76% saying that stress is undermining family life. And in a sense, there's a human face to these economic changes as well, and that's how that is playing out on a daily basis in families themselves. And we know that financial pressures put enormous stress on relationships between adults, but also enormous stress on relationships between parents and children. So 53% of parents with children are now pointing to financial pressures as the main cause of arguments within the family, and 31% saying that their children asking for things that are no longer affordable is also a point of stress within the family. So there's a human, very human side, as people are feeling the pressure of having less money, but also that money going not so far, and also feeling the pressure of potential job losses and insecurity into the future. And that's our duty, I think, really, to bring this to bear. So I would see these poll results and our analysis of what's happening within the policy environment really as a call to action. And I think that we are absolutely convinced about the deep felt commitment from this government to build a family-friendly society. And indeed, many of you will remember, and we repeat as often as we can, that the Prime Minister, prior to the election, committed to making the UK the most family-friendly in Europe. And I do not doubt that commitment, nor do we doubt the commitment to addressing things like commercialisation and sexualisation. We've really worked in that review to issues of shared parenting, and likewise we've warmly welcomed the consultation on shared parenting. But the reality is for families that the issues right in front of them are how they're going to make ends meet immediately. So this is a cry for help from families and our call to action. So in terms of setting the scene for the discussions going forward, what we really want to get out of this conference today is to find out what the vision is for the future. We don't have the solutions alone, but we know that we've got sufficient expertise in this room to begin to build a very positive vision for the future where, indeed, as Matt says, we're going to need to get more from less. And we've got some indicators about what that might mean. The first is that we've got to invest in prevention. Prevention is not only more effective, but it's less expensive than cure. So early intervention, which doesn't necessarily always mean early years, but early intervention to prevent situations of risk becoming situations of crisis is both cheaper and more effective, and we've got to get much smarter as a community about making